every piece of data like this that comes public just reinforces that the regime of keeping people in Nauru and causes harm to their mental health.
Police in the United States have located more suspected mail bombs addressed to prominent Trump critics, including the prominent actor and director Robert De Niro. The North America correspondent Stephanie March reports from Washington.
Suspicious packages addressed to former Vice President Joe Biden and Trump critic and actor Robert De Niro were discovered earlier today and removed by police. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio thanked a quick-thinking security guard at Mr. De Niro's Manhattan office for alerting authorities.
This is clearly an effort to terrorize people politically.
8 people, including Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, have been targeted with similar devices. Stephanie March, ABC News, Washington.
Google says it's hired 48 employees, or fired 48 employees for sexual harassment over the past 2 years, terminating them without a severance package. The surprise disclosure comes after the New York Times newspaper reported that Google had dismissed an executive for sexual misconduct 4 years ago and is still paying him a $130 million package. The former executive insists he left on his own accord and that he only had consensual sexual relationships that adhered to Google's policies at that time. Google says it now has stricter policies in place. At least 18 school children and teachers in Jordan have died after being swept away in a flash flood near the Dead Sea. Children were on a bus carrying 37 pupils on a school excursion in the Zahra Ain Hot Springs area. When the vehicle was caught by floodwaters, a major search and rescue operation began. Help from Jordan's neighbour Israel to send helicopters and soldiers from an elite search and rescue team. 34 people have so far been rescued, including people who are leaking at the hospitals. Port of Brisbane, as the Bureau says, is aware of and has probably presented with plans to traditionalise the global law to its closure. Katrina Bevan.
Australian helicopter geologist from Sydney filed a claim with the Human Rights Commission, claiming racial discrimination over plans to close the mine. Mark Hendricks said when the rock is closed to climates in October next year, only people in the area's traditional owners will still be able to climb through under the Environmental Protection and Biodiversity Act and the past lease agreement. Traditional owners are permitted to use the land for ceremonial and religious purposes, but Parks Australia says it's not aware of any plans for traditional owners to climb after the closure.
However, the finance figures for the local share market is coming off the street right now, and it's been a strong start. The ASX 200 and the All Ordinaries up about 0.5% now. The ASX 200 is on 5,692, and the All Ordinaries index on 5,791 points. That follows a very strong lead-in from New York, where the Dow Jones Industrial Average this morning gained 1.6% to end on 24,985. The average crude oil price is $80.14. West Texas Intermediate crude $67.15, and the price of gold is down 2 cents US an ounce to $1,231.58. The Australian dollar at the moment is worth 70.8 US cents. It's also buying 55 British pounds, 62 euro cents, 80 Japanese yen, and at the moment you'll get $1.08 Australian dollar. Here's how the London now with the
and to take this responsibility, this personality in this competition. We want to do something important.
Ruben Loftus-Cheek scored a hat-trick in Chelsea with a 3-1 win at home against the Marseille result. South Australia resumed day 2 of their Sheffield Shield clash against Queensland on none for 39. The Bulls were yesterday dismissed for 231. Redback leg spinner Lloyd Pope taking figures of 7 for 78. Victoria will resume shortly on 3 for 101 after South Wales made a ball out for 159. And Western Australia is 2 for 69, having dismissed Tasmania for 226. Through the tennis, the women's world number 3 Caroline Wozniacki has revealed she has rheumatoid arthritis. The 28-year-old Dane has revealed the diagnosis after exiting the WTA final in Singapore overnight with a 3-set defeat to Ukraine's Elena Svitolina. Wozniacki said she felt that something was wrong after competing at Wimbledon earlier this year.
I wasn't feeling well. I thought it was just the flu. I was on vacation and I wasn't feeling good. And I was like, it's fine. I'm gonna get over it. I go to Washington. Knees are hurting. My leg is hurting. I'm like, okay, well, just move on. Playing lunch trail and something still doesn't feel right. But I wake up and I can't lift my arms over my head, and I'm like, I don't really know what it is. I go to the doctor and they tell me everything's fine, and then I'm like, I know that I'm not fine.
South Sydney and the Brisbane Broncos is set to full action in the NRL. Rabbitohs have announced Wayne Bennett will be joining them on a 2-year deal starting in 2020. The Broncos are now expected to confirm South incumbent Anthony Seibold, Steve Bennett and Red Hill. Meantime, Western Tigers soon released their coach Marvin Cleary to join Penrith after reportedly lining up Michael Maguire as his replacement. Steve, that's the latest news.
Certainly is. Thank you very much to you, Sam Wilkinson, and we'll have a further update in 25 minutes. Is the temperature right now in Brisbane, on the way to a top of 36. It's going to be hot in Brisbane today and mostly sunny as well. Cloud clearing and sunny afternoon is expected in Sydney, and a top of 22 on top of that. In Sydney right now along the coast it's 19 degrees. Canberra's on 17 degrees, a mostly sunny Friday for you with a high of 25. And in Melbourne right now it's cloudy and 15 degrees. 17 degrees is the forecast stop a little later in the day. The outlook for Hobart today, mostly cloudy and 17, and at the moment you're on 11. Adelaide sunny and 25, and the temperature now in Adelaide is 16 degrees. Good morning to you in Perth, you're on 15 degrees. Fair way to go now to get to your maximum of 28, but it will be sunny for your Friday. Partly cloudy and pretty wet over the last 24 hours in Darwin. You've had 28 millimetres of rain since 9 o'clock yesterday. A top of 34 degrees today, and right now in Darwin it's 28. In Eastern Daylight Time is 10:15. It's 10:45 in South Australia. It's 9:15 in Queensland. In the Northern Territory, it's 9:45, and it's 7:15 in WA.
ABC News headlines.
City Police Commissioner James P. O'Neill has reassured the city's residents that they are safe as authorities step up their hunt for whoever is behind a series of crude bombs that have been sent to high-profile figures. An update for you later in this quarter of an hour. Prime Minister Scott Morrison says redirecting funds to support drought resilience is money well spent. Mr Morrison has just formally announced a $5 billion fund at the National Drought Summit at Old Parliament House in Canberra. And the federal opposition is renewing calls to extend the Banking Royal Commission, claiming victims of misconduct are facing lengthy court processes and aren't receiving adequate compensation. But the Royal Commissioner, Kenneth Hayne, has not asked to extend his inquiry. government has introduced its long-anticipated legislation designed to prevent the erosion of superannuation funds through deductions and fees. Under the bill, the tax office would consolidate inactive and low balance accounts of less than $6,000 so that they're not whittled away. Administration charges on inactive and low balance accounts and super exit fees would also be abolished. Martin Fay is the Chief Executive of ASFA, the Association of Superannuation Funds of Australia. That's the peak industry body for super funds in Australia and represents some 80% of the sector. Martin Fay, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
What level of input has your association had into this legislation?
So the measures were announced as part of the budget this year and were designed really to prevent low balances being eroded. We've had a number of engagements in government around some of the concerns we have to make sure that people are reunited quickly with their superannuation, that when money gets swept up from an account, it gets put back in an active account very quickly. And we've also obviously aired some of our concerns around the unintended consequences of carving out young people from insurance.
So, do you support the legislation in the form that it's going to go forward, or there are some amendments that you would like made?
We're specifically concerned about the fact that under superannuation, people are defaulted into insurance, life and TPD, and in some cases in protection. The legislation proposes carving out particularly under 25s. The risk is that young people who are under 25 will have tragic accidents and will be left in very dire straits financially. We think that there are hazardous occupations, police officers, ambulance drivers, people working in construction sector, etc., who have dependents who are under 25 who will be left without cover if these measures were brought into place.
Is it likely that somebody within the Parliament is going to sponsor such an amendment?
I think there's a recognition on both sides of politics that it's important not to leave people who are in hazardous occupations without appropriate life insurance, and the possibility of looking at alternative ways of doing this, I think, are being explored. The challenge is that we need to make sure that in our bids to prevent insurance premiums eroding low balances, we don't expose. The other problem we have is if we carve out a large number of young people from the insurance pool, the pricing, the premium on the remaining people will have to go up quite significantly. Insurance.
How significantly would that be?
The estimates that we've seen from various actuarial analysis suggest it could be anywhere from 15 to 25%. So as you carve out young, healthy people from a risk pool, the residual pool of over 25 gets repriced. And so the savings that an under 25-year-old makes by being carved out may actually be eroded quite quickly when they come back in as a result of the higher premiums they'll pay when they come back in.
So have your members worked out how much revenue will be foregone if those changes are made along the lines of consolidating accounts and doing away with some fees? Have you done that calculation?
I think the important thing with the sector is that we want people to be engaged with their superannuation and to be reunited with their super. The system as a whole has $2.7 trillion in assets and it's recognised worldwide as being really good. So it's not really for our members, it's not about the fees, it's about making sure that members get good outcomes in retirement and that they're not left with a situation. The fees that are currently charged, the proposed cap on fees of 3% is not an unreasonable measure. At the moment we know that the average MySuper fees have dropped from 130 basis points to 103 basis points in the last 10 years.
Yeah, and I take your point that it's not unreasonable, but still it's money that you once had there that you're not going to have in the future. How will you make that up?
Well, there's a very competitive market in fees, and so there's always been downward pressure on these fees. What we want to make sure is that people are getting value for those fees. So in many cases where people have made a choice of investments, the fees may be higher because of the particular asset allocation or for the advice that they're getting. So it's not really a zero-sum game here. It's about what is the right thing long-term over a 40-year period for a member. And the funds are all behind trying to get fees down as much as possible, but recognizing that a race to the bottom on fees is not necessarily the best thing.
All right, Martin Fay, we'll leave it there.
Thank you very much.
It's Martin Fay, who's the Chief Executive of the Association of Superannuation Funds of Australia. Well, we've brought you the opening of the National Drought Summits in Canberra from Old Parliament House in Canberra. We heard from the Prime Minister just a few moments ago. Now, the Bureau of Meteorology has given a grim outlook of the chances of drought conditions ending any time soon. The representative from the Weather Bureau did speak a short time ago as part of the briefing process of this summit, and let's listen to some of what that Bureau of Meteorology person has had to say.
It's likely that the high temperatures that we've been seeing
will persist. The likelihood of reaching the average amount of rainfall is low. As a consequence, the drought is likely to intensify in South Australia, Victoria and inland New South Wales over the next few months. And a weak start is likely for Queensland's dryland summer production. The extended outlook from January to March also shows that high temperatures are likely to persist. Easing of drought is unlikely in the southern half of Australia, and there's likely to be elevated irrigation demand in Queensland. This figure is one way of illustrating rising temperatures, and it shows the number of days each year that are in the top 1% of hot days in any given year. Average temperature is rising by about 1 degree Celsius every 100 years. An extreme hot day is added every 4 years. And each has a direct effect on agricultural productivity, human and animal welfare.
And that's the grim outlook from the Weather Bureau at the National Drought Summit. They're getting a series of briefings, and that's just one of them right now. Let's move on to the other big story around today. The New York City Mayor, Bill de Blasio, has been making a two-pronged appeal to Americans in the wake of the interception of a number of suspicious devices sent to